Welcome everyone to today's Ultimate Masterclass Explainer. I am super thrilled to have you here because we're going to do something pretty incredible today. We are going to completely decode a massive, seemingly overwhelming blueprint, the entire kingdom Animalia. Now, if you've ever looked at your biology notes and just felt totally lost in that sea of Latin names and phyla, don't worry. We're taking those exact materials and breaking them down so you can master this classification once and for all. Let's get into it. We've got a really logical roadmap to tackle all this. We'll start with the basis of classification, explore the non-chordates, jump into the chordates, climb up the vertebrate classes, and then tie it all together with a comparative summary. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the basis of classification, or as the source notes perfectly call it, the Aadhaar.
Think of this kind of like an architectural blueprint. Before we can really appreciate the unique features of any complex animal, we have to understand the basic frameworks used to build them. There are 5 foundational blueprints scientists use here. You've got levels of organization, which scales from loose cellular aggregates and simple sponges, all the way to full organ systems and us chordates. Then there's body symmetry. Is the animal asymmetrical, radially symmetrical, or bilateral? Add in germ layers, the colome and the notochord, and well, you have the master keys that dictate absolutely everything about an animal's structure.
Let's see how this actually builds, specifically looking at germ layers. Diploblastic animals, like Cnidaria, develop from just 2 embryonic layers, the outer ectoderm and the inner endoderm. Simple enough, right? But as evolution pushes forward, we get triploblastic animals. They add a totally critical 3rd layer right in the middle, the mesoderm. This triploblastic complexity is a massive game changer, and it starts from Platyhelminthes and goes all the way up the chain to us. And speaking of that middle mesoderm layer, it leads us straight to the coilum. The coilum is a true body cavity located between the gut wall and the outer body wall, and here is the key point. It has to be entirely lined by the mesoderm. Why does this empty space even matter? Well, it allows internal organs to actually grow and move independently of the outer body wall. But watch out for a major trap here on your exams. Aschelminthes, those roundworms, they are pseudocoelomates. Their cavity isn't fully lined. The mesoderm is just kind of scattered around in pouches, so it's a false cavity. Moving right along to Section 2. Exploring the non-chordates. We're now looking at the invertebrate blueprint across 10 incredible phyla. We start with the absolute simplest setups. Porifera, basically your sponges, survive using a brilliant water canal system powered by these flagellated collar cells called choanocytes. Water goes in through tiny pores, feeds them, and shoots out. Next up, Cnidaria bring actual weaponry to the table with stinging cells called conidoblasts, and they live as either cylindrical polyps or umbrella-like medusas. And Ctinifera? These guys are essentially sea walnuts that literally glow in the dark through bioluminescence, and they swim around using 8 ciliated comb plates. Stepping up the complexity ladder, we hit the worms. Platyhelminthes, the flatworms, are equipped with these really cool specialized flame cells for excretion. Then we've got Aschelminthes, the circular roundworms, where we find that tricky pseudocoelomate structure we just talked about. Finally, Annelida, like your everyday earthworm, introduce true metamerism, meaning their bodies are cleanly divided into internal and external segments. They upgrade their excretion system to nephridia, and some aquatic versions even have little parapodia to help them swim. Okay, we've seen glowing jellies and segmented worms, but I want you to pause for just a second. Out of all these wildly diverse groups on the entire planet, what do you think is the absolute largest phylum of them all? It's Arthropoda. Literally no contest. Roughly 2/3 of all named species on Earth fall into this bucket. Why are they so incredibly successful? It really comes down to their armor-like chitinous exoskeleton and their jointed appendages. From honeybees to mosquitoes to prawns, their structural blueprint is just a massive evolutionary win. All right, moving past the massive arthropod group, let's pull out the key takeaways from Mollusca and Echinodermata using this next breakdown. Mollusca, which is the 2nd largest phylum, features these soft-bodied creatures that are usually protected by heavy calcium carbonate shells. They use a really neat rasping organ called a radula just to feed. Echinodermata, like your starfish, are incredibly unique because they rely on a mandatory water vascular system for everything: walking, eating, you name it. Oh, and here's another exam trap fact. Their adults show radial symmetry, but their larvae are actually bilateral. Finally, Hemichordata wraps up the non-chordates. They're worm-like marine creatures whose bodies are split into a distinct proboscis, collar, and trunk. Okay, Section 3, the chordate subkingdom. This is where the structural framework gets a massive, highly advanced upgrade.
So, what actually makes a chordate a chordate? Well, it boils down to these 4 distinct anatomical pillars. To be in this club, you absolutely must have a notochord, a dorsal hollow nerve cord, pharyngeal gill slits, and a post-anal tail at some point in your life cycle. These are completely non-negotiable.
Let's actually track that all-important notochord across the 3 subkingdoms. In Chordata, it's just a temporary feature, found only in the larval tail. In Chordata, it gets an upgrade, extending from head to tail and lasting their entire life. But in Vertebrata, well, the ultimate upgrade happens. That embryonic notochord completely transforms into a rigid, bony, or cartilaginous vertebral column, a true backbone.
Which brings us to Section 4, the classes of vertebrates.
If our earlier phyla were simple huts, these are the complex skyscrapers of the animal kingdom. Let's look at the fishes first. The stark contrast for survival here is just fascinating. Chondrichthyes like sharks have a cartilage skeleton, but absolutely no air bladder. This means if they stop swimming, they sink. They literally have to keep moving constantly. Compare that to osteothys, the bony fishes. They evolved an air bladder to regulate buoyancy, meaning they can just float effortlessly at whatever depth they want.
All right, we are in the home stretch of this explainer now. We're leaving the water behind and looking at the final terrestrial progression, from amphibians right up to mammals.
But wait, before we run through those, you absolutely need to lock in this major trap fact. Reptiles generally have a 3-chambered heart, right? However, crocodiles are a massive exception in reptilia. They possess a completely 4-chambered heart. Do not forget that one. Let's rapid-fire ascend the final branches of this vertebrate tree. Amphibians live a dual life, on land and in water, using their moist skin. Reptiles adapt fully to land with creeping locomotion and dry scutes. Aves, or birds, obviously take to the sky. They're warm-blooded and have evolved these incredible pneumatic, hollow bones to keep them super light for flight. And finally, mammalia, defined by mammary glands to nourish their young, hair or fur, and external ears called pinna.
Now, mammals are mostly viviparous. They give birth to live young. But biology always has a surprise up its sleeve. Here's your ultimate exception, the platypus, or Ornithorhynchus. It's an egg-laying mammal. It totally breaks the rules, making it one of the most fascinating evolutionary bridges out there.
And finally, Section 5, the ultimate comparative summary. We've covered a ton of ground today. Let's take a step back and look at the big picture. Non-chordates? Absolutely no notochord. We chordates have one. Non-chordates have a central nervous system that is solid, double, and located on their ventral side, the front of their body. We have a dorsal, hollow, single tube running down our backs. Non-chordates don't have pharyngeal gill slits? We do. And hey, if a non-chordate even has a heart, it's on their back, the dorsal side. Ours is placed ventrally, right in the front chest cavity. It is literally a complete inversion of the structural blueprint.
So, from the incredibly simple water canals of sponges to the highly advanced 4-chambered hearts of mammals and flying birds with hollow bones, life just never stops adapting. The blueprint is constantly being rewritten. So, I'll leave you with this thought. With such a continuous, unstoppable evolutionary engine driving all of this, what radical structural adaptations do you think life might develop next? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep wondering, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.